Have you ever wondered if cold pressed juice is actually better? Maybe you've heard centrifugal juices destroy nutrients. Well, in this video, we'll cover the differences between cold pressed versus centrifugal juicers. I'm about to show you how they work, the surprising difference in juice quality using a thermal camera, and why sticking with the centrifugal juicer could or could not be the best decision if you want to save some money. So in order to understand which is better, you have to understand how each type of juicer works. For centrifugal juicers, you put fruits and vegetables into the big tube at the top called the feed chute. Sometimes you're able to fit whole fruits and vegetables into this, other times not so much, depends on the size of fruit. At the bottom is a basket with sharp teeth. The motor spins the basket at speeds of 5,000 rotations per minute. Once the fruit and vegetables fall on top of these teeth, they get shredded into tiny pieces. Because the basket spins so fast, everything, all the produce inside, flies out to some circular wall that has like a mesh on it, and the juice flows through those holes. After the juice goes through those holes, it goes into your cup. But the bigger pieces like skin and seeds can't fit through these tiny mesh holes, so all the leftover bits go into your pulp container. For cold press juicers, you put fruits and vegetables into the smaller feed chute at the top. The fruits and vegetables travel down the tube and eventually hit something called an auger. This is a big screw that turns slowly at 43 rotations per minute. It squeezes all the juice out of your fruits and vegetables. Then the juice passes through these tiny holes inside a stainless steel juicing screen, and these rubber wipers help sweep the juice into your cup. All the leftovers like seeds and skins get pushed through the pulp ejector. So let's run a test between these two machines. To do this test, we're going to use one of my favorite juice recipes. It's cucumber, orange, apple, and celery, and you can get way more recipes like this from my ebook Juicing for Beginners in the link in the description below. I'm going to start by loading up the cold press juicer. Next, we'll do the centrifugal juicer. I'm not going to lie, the idea of a sharp disc with tiny blades spinning at an insanely fast speeds freaks me out. Feels like a scene from that movie, Final Destination, where the blade is about to fly out and cut me at any second. If you have kids, I probably wouldn't let them near this thing, and it's much messier than it looks. Here's what I mean. You can see when you add stuff to it like apples, it jumps around inside the chute. Sometimes pieces can fly out of the top. I went all the way across my kitchen and found tiny apple slices on my floor. But now let me show you the pulp. To see which one of these machines was more efficient, you can do something called the squeeze test. If the pulp is dry, that means it did a good job. The centrifugal pulp bin had unjuiced celery stalks, which was disappointing. It kind of just felt like a huge waste. Here's a squeeze test on the centrifugal juicer. Now check out the pulp on the cold press juicer. It looks much drier. And after doing a squeeze test, you can see I barely got a drop out of it. And it makes sense. You can think of centrifugal machines like wet towels. If you swing a wet towel, it stays wet. But if you squeeze a wet towel, you get more liquid out. In this case, the cold press juicer is squeezing while the centrifugal juicer is swinging. Now let's look at 2 glasses of juice from each machine. The juice from the centrifugal juicer has more foam at the top. This can happen from the super fast spinning that forces more air into your juice. It looks much greener in color, and it did a pretty bad job of mixing everything together. It's missing some of the color that you get from the orange. And right now it doesn't look too bad, but I can already see it start to separate. This has to do with the method of extraction. You're really slicing up those fruits and vegetable membrane. Now let's look at the cold press juicer. You can definitely see the orange was better extracted. There's a light layer of foam at the top, but it's hardly noticeable. Also notice how there's no separation here. Everything looks like it's mixed in pretty well. The slow, gentle squeeze keeps everything better intact, including nutrients, which we're going to get to later. Here's a side-by-side comparison. What I'm about to show you is one thing that nobody shows in their videos. So we're going to take 2 glasses of juice and test them with a heat camera. Any guess as to which one makes hotter juice? The glass on the left is the centrifugal juice, and the glass on the right is the cold press juice. First glass is about 20.1 degrees Celsius, which is 68.1 degrees Fahrenheit. For the second glass, I measured 19.2 degrees Celsius, which is 66.5 degrees Fahrenheit. The second glass was the cold press juice. I was sort of shocked here because I thought the cold press juice would be much colder than just 2 degrees. If we were juicing for like 20 minutes straight, the temperature difference would probably be here. But why even care about the temperature? Well, the temperature can play a massive role when it comes to the quality of the juice, which we're about to get to. But first, I want to show you just how long each of these will last in the fridge. To measure this, all I did was refrigerate them, wait a day, take them out, and then smell them. The juice from the centrifugal juicer only lasted 24 hours. After taking a whiff of it from the fridge, it didn't make me vomit, but there was no way in hell I was gonna drink. The juice from the cold press juicer lasted 3 whole days in my fridge before I was like, no way I'm drinking this. So why does this happen? This is where the temperature comes in. How fast a juice spoils is determined by 3 things: air, light, and heat. All three of these accelerate something called oxidation. Have you ever taken a bite of an apple and let it sit there and watched it turn brown? That's exactly what's happening to your juice, and it's called oxidation. The centrifugal juicer spoils faster because it adds more air, slices up cell walls, and creates more heat, making your juice oxidize quicker. Now, the cold press juice lasts longer because it spins slowly and the motor is cold, it's crushing the fruits and vegetables, and it preserves more nutrients in the juice. And if you've ever thought, is a cold press juicer really better for you? Check out this study. They made a batch of juices with each type of juicer. Then they measured the vitamin levels for 3 days. Vitamin C levels stayed about the same, but vitamin A was a different story. The cold press juicer lost only 12% of its vitamin A, while the centrifugal juicer lost a whopping 46%. So yes, centrifugal juicers destroy nutrients faster than cold press juicers. But this part shocked the heck out of me even more. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but boy was I wrong. We're going to juice a full bag of leafy greens with each of these machines and then see what happens. Just for some context, a full bag here is about 150 grams. So we'll measure that out for each machine. I'm going to turn both of these on and attempt to feed them at the same time. As you can see, it's way harder than it looks. The air from the centrifugal juicer can make leaves fly out of the machine, and with the cold press juicer, you really have to use the pusher. Otherwise, the leaves get stuck in the tube. But now that we're done, let's take a look at the centrifugal juice. You can clearly see there's not much there. I mean, check this out. Look at these massive chunks of whole leaves in the pulp bin. Super wasteful, if you ask me. After measuring it out, we only got 20 milliliters of juice. So why in the heck is this happening? In the centrifugal juicer, the leafy greens are so light that they don't spend enough time getting shredded by the disc. Instead, they just fly right into the pulp basket. Now, the cold press machine spins slowly and it squeezes the greens. The leaves aren't whipping around in a circle at Mach 5 speed, and that's why the cold press machine tends to give you more juice out of the same amount of leaf. After measuring it out, we got 90 milliliters. That's 4.5 times more juice. Now you might be thinking, so what? The centrifugal machine makes less juice, but it's still way cheaper than the cold press juicer. Well, that's where things get kind of tricky. If you spend $5 on a bag of organic spinach each week, that would cost you $260 a year. With a centrifugal juicer, you're paying $5 for just 20 milliliters of juice, which is 25 cents per milliliter. With a cold press juicer, you're paying $5 for 90 milliliters of juice, which is 5.5 cents per milliliter. But to get the same amount of juice with the centrifugal juicer as the cold press juicer, you would need to buy an extra 182 bags of leafy greens. With the centrifugal juicer, that's going to cost you an extra $909 per year. The amount of money you're wasting over 1 year could buy you 3 cold press juicers. So yes, they're wasteful, but there are some pros to centrifugal juicers hardly anybody talks about. Centrifugal juicers, they got big chutes, and they also spin at lightning fast RPMs, so you can make juice much quicker than you would with a cold press juicer where you have to manually feed it one by one. Now, the technology for cold press juicers have evolved, and a lot of them use hoppers now where you can load everything up at one time, flick a switch, and walk away. But the thing that makes centrifugal juicers so attractive to people has to be this. Centrifugal juicing technology has been around for more than 10 years. At this point, every kitchen brand has their own version of a centrifugal juicer. There's not much innovation going on, but for these reasons, they're usually much cheaper, at least upfront when you don't count all the money you waste on produce. But there are some things that'll drive you absolutely mad about a centrifugal juicer. Have you ever heard the saying, you get what you pay for? Well, that couldn't be any more true here. Some people are lucky and their centrifugal juicer lasts for years, and others have had theirs break after 3 to 6 months. So yes, centrifugal juicers are cheap, but they break more easily. And what happens if they do break? Because the machine is cheap, the warranty on it is also not very good. It's usually about 1 year. So if your warranty expires, you're shit out of luck, and then you're gonna have to buy another juicer. But this next con is even worse. Whenever you turn this type of juicer on, it sounds like a jet engine going off in your kitchen. If you live in an apartment complex, I'm sure your neighbors are gonna complain about it, and if you've got kids, you'll definitely wake them up from their naps. Overall, it sucks to listen to the motor screaming for 15 minutes straight when you wanna make juice. But that's not even the worst part. If there's anything you learned from this video, it'd be this. Centrifugal juicers make less juice. They destroy nutrients by oxidizing juice faster, and they make juice that spoils quicker. Compared to cold press juicers, they're as wasteful as it gets. And when I tried the juice from the cold press machine versus the centrifugal machine, I found out that I could really taste orange in the cold press one, but with the centrifugal one, it just kind of tasted more sugary, like I was drinking an apple instead of drinking celery, cucumber, and all the other things that I've added to it. And that leads me to the reasons why I'd switch to a cold press juicer if I were you. Cold press juicers retain more nutrients, so they're probably better for you. They last up to 72 hours instead of 24 hours, which is great if you don't want to use your juicer every single day. They're quiet, so you don't have to worry about waking people up. Some of them make healthy ice creams and nut milks, and they extract more juice, which is going to save you money on groceries long term. There's only one thing that keeps people from buying a cold press machine: the price. You can usually get a decent centrifugal juicer under $150, but a quality cold press juicer can cost anywhere from $300 to $700 plus. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is a cold press juicer worth the money? For me personally, it was a no-brainer. Cold press juicers cost more, but it makes sense to pay more when they have 15-year warranties. That means it's probably the last juicer you'll ever need to buy. And you'll also save on produce because the machine is more efficient, like I mentioned. At the end of the day, it's an investment in your health, but there's still a massive problem. You probably don't know which cold press juicer to get, so click this video so you don't waste $300 on the wrong machine.